Hello Internet, and welcome back to an author plays, or I guess in this case an author vlogs. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these, and really the last time I did it was to try and focus my efforts and try to contribute a little bit more frequent content to the channel. And I kind of had a realization earlier when I sat down to start recording. It occurred to me that I never really discussed the point of the channel, in the sense like, I know what the point of the content is, but I never really discussed where the motivation comes from, in the sense that, you know, why would somebody who is trying to make it in the literary world also start doing this nonsense on YouTube? And some of the reasons you could come up with in the beginning are pretty obvious, like, you know, oh, it's fun to do, it's possible to market, whatever, you know, insert whatever fan theory you have here, I suppose. And all of those are true. It's certainly a blast to sit down and play games, and it's even funnier to go back and edit these and see how stupid I am, or see what kind of silliness I've gotten myself into, that sort of thing. And also, I have to, as like an aside, it's weird not having my headphones on. I'm so used to seeing them in this camera right now that it's kind of weird. I don't know. Feels weird. But to get back on topic, I've been going through some difficult stuff lately, and I'm not going to go into details of it because, quite honestly, the details are boring and it's just whatever. The reason why things have been rough lately doesn't really matter so much as the fact that it has been. And that's kind of the reason why I'm sitting down and describing all of this. You know, I've had big plans in my head for a long time, and I'm not talking about plans of fame or grandeur or anything like that. But my father, I want to say about 2-3 years ago, he and I were driving home. I can't remember from where exactly, but he and I were driving home one day, and there was a time, or it was around that time, rather, where the state lottery down here in Florida was some gross number. I'm talking like 60 or 65 million. It was something stupid like that because nobody had won in months, and so it just kind of kept rolling over into the next month, or 2 months, 3 months, until it's been like a full season where you basically just have this dragon horde of money that nobody's been able to touch. And he was sitting down and talking with some of his friends earlier that day who were down for a golf trip, and he was telling me he was asking these guys, because they were all surprised at the number. Where they're from, lottery barely gets above 2 million. And they were sitting there telling me, or rather, he was sitting there and listening to them describe what they would do with that kind of money. Oh, you know, I'd put it towards this, put it towards that, put it towards whatever. And, you know, it was all kind of standard stuff. It's like, oh, I want a mansion. I want to go to, insert tropical place here, or whatever. And my dad was telling me what he wanted to do, and it was completely different from what these guys were telling him. It wasn't something like, oh, I'm going to buy this big house or this expensive car or whatever. It was, here's what I want to do. He wanted to set aside enough money in order to live off of the interest comfortably. I'm talking about like the standard of living that he has now. He doesn't want to go much higher than that. And that would be maybe 0.5%. Maybe even like 0.25% of what that pot would have been, like even post-income tax. And he told me about how he wanted to establish this charity foundation, almost not unlike what the Gates family has now, with all the gross amount of money that Bill Gates earned from his computer days. And I remember hearing this, and I'd never really known, it wasn't unknown to me that my father would, donate to charity. I'd gone with him on a number of occasions to donate stuff to a local children's home. I'd seen him cut checks for universities, that sort of thing. But I had never known how deep that sentiment ran in him. I always figured it was something that was, yeah, I suppose I can spare a little bit, and hey, tax break, right? But listening to him talk about this with this kind of fervor and this kind of, he started to tear up a little bit. And the only time I've ever seen him do that before was when there was a death in the family. So this is something that he deeply cared about. And it moved me in a way that I didn't anticipate. I always wanted to be a charitable person once I was in a position to do so, but I never realized how much I wanted to do that. At least it's not something that people really think about. You have to be able to support yourself and do that. So he essentially admitted, because he doesn't believe in the lottery, and I don't blame him. You got a better chance of getting struck by lightning. I'm not even kidding about that. You can go look that up, or I'll put something here-ish to show that. But yeah, he's kind of admitted that that's something that's never going to happen. And I want to be in a position to do that, so much so that I like to think that it's kind of become my life goal, is to establish that kind of a foundation and help out people that are in desperate need of it. I mean, I see reports all the time about, apparently, the economy is back, but, the current generation is having a difficult time landing employment, or they're having a difficult time paying off loans, buying a house, starting life, moving back in with parents. Like, all of these things happen to the current generation of young adults, it seems. And I worry that that's something that might get more troublesome in the future, since inflation is a thing. And there's going to be more people. There's going to be more competition. There's going to be a larger struggle. So I want to be able to do something in the distant future that will help people in need in order to sustain themselves. And I don't know what lies on the horizon in terms of advancements in, our country's economy, in human livelihood. I don't know what's on the horizon for that. I just know that in the here and now, people are struggling, and in the future, I don't want them to be struggling. So, I hope that sometime in the future, I may be able to establish something like that. Whatever that may be, small, large, managed by me or someone else, I don't know. I just know that I really want to be able to give back to the people and the planet that have held me for these last 23 years in some way other than just archiving my goofiness for however long on a website that, it's pretty easy to get lost in. I'm just starting out. It's only been a couple weeks since I've really fully gone in on 1 to 2 videos a day. And it's hard to do that sometimes, because I have many other obligations to meet. But this is a really good way to sort of see past that and keep myself entertained, while also maybe somewhat building my rapport with people out there. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of getting a little rambly at this point, and I'm actually not even sure if this is going to make it up or not. I think I'm more speaking for catharsis at this point than I am for any sort of gain, but either way, I know that these are things that I needed to vocalize and get out of my head, and maybe that's something that I'll be sharing with you guys. Well, I guess if you're watching this right now, it's already being shared, so this kind of tangent is pointless. I don't know. I guess really what I'm trying to drill down to is I've been putting a lot of pressure on myself lately because I have a life goal that I want to meet, and I haven't been growing as fast as I would like. And it feels like I'm doing the work, and it feels like I'm putting in the effort and not getting anything in return, which just kind of pushes me to work a little bit harder. I have my days where people are ragging on me for making these choices, and I shouldn't have done it in the first place. I have people, saying that I should have stayed in the things that I was doing before writing and YouTube. And, well, from those people's perspectives, they may be right, but what they don't know is that what I was doing before physically hurt me to continue. I mean, I had my down days now, sure, but it was nothing like what my, I guess you could say, emotional equilibrium was back in January or February of this year, well before I set up the channel and started putting videos up. But that's kind of a story for another day. I guess that's really all I needed to vocalize, and I know it's kind of greedy to admit that this was more for me than it was for anybody that may be watching this, but it's also kind of my hope that by vocalizing some of this, and by sharing this with you guys, I know there's not a whole lot of you, it's just kind of my hope that maybe this video is something, this vlog is something that can reach out and touch a couple people. If you guys know anybody that is having a rough time in life, whether it be because they've been beaten down by recent events, because they feel like they're not able to pursue their dream, or they don't even know what their dream is, I would ask that you reach out to them, whether it be by sharing this video and letting them know somebody else is thinking what they're thinking, by reaching out yourself and letting them know that their dream is worthwhile, then, you know, I've done something. And that's really what I'm trying to do right now, is find the little ways to do something in order to add up into a bigger something in the future. So, I guess that, like I said, that's really about it. Just, I want to reach out and help people. And if it's through this video, if it's through the channel, if it's through the books, whatever, then things will have been worth it all the while for me. And that's what's most important right now, is that I find something to do that satisfies me. And that's, I guess, something that everybody's looking for, is somewhere and some place to belong and be you. Because that's really important, is to be you. Well, I think I've rambled enough, and I kind of apologize for all of this nonsense. But like I said, it was something that I needed to get out there and vocalize for myself in order to feel a little bit better. And I think I do. Even if 2 people see this vlog, if 2 million somehow see this vlog, then things will have been worth it all the while. But anyways, like I said, that's all I wanted to mention. And yeah, I guess I will see you guys in the next chapter. So thank you very much for watching, and take care.